This conference will now be recorded.
Today we're discussing social following and boosting, and Richard will take on the session with you guys. So yeah, enjoy. At the end of the session, we can just recap again of all the elements that Blackcock is offering at the moment. But yeah, most important just to discuss this session today, and please engage where you feel you're not sure about certain things we discussed, or please feel free to email us for further discussions with either myself or with Richard. Yeah, cool. Enjoy. Okay, Richard, you can continue.
I'm going to switch off my camera until the Q&A session, just for connection's sake. And just an advance apology, I've got a bit of a croaky voice today, so I might be taking some extra sips of water in between today. But let's get right into it. Excuse me, there we go. A quick recap on what we've done in the previous two sessions. In session one, we spoke about brand community, and we looked specifically at brand personality, audience, target market, and community, and what the differences are between those last three terms specifically, and how you would approach those three different segments in different ways and for different reasons. In session two, which was last week, we looked at content planning and scheduling, looked at brand content personas, which we'll look at again today, and the types of content that is out there that you can share and that other people tend to share. In today's session, we are going to look at how to grow your social following and at boosting. Mainly, I'm going to focus on Facebook, as that is the major platform, and also that's the one where boosting happens for posts. But you can also promote on other channels, and we'll get there as we progress through today's slides. I thought of doing slightly different today and look at 15 tips or methods, 15 free and paid methods to increase your social media following, because it's often a subject that mystifies a lot of people, and it really shouldn't have to be that difficult. I think so. I just thought I would break it down into easy, small chunks of stuff that you can do to increase your following, and also get your posts to reach bigger audiences. So, excuse me, there's the croak. The first one seems a bit obvious, but speak to your target market personas. We've covered personas in both the first two present sessions, and that really are important. I would like to use Don Crowther as an example, as his quote that says, "People want to do business with you because you help them get what they want. They do not do business with you to help you get what you want." So really speak to your target audience, speak to the personas, know who you're talking to, and know what you want to tell them. It's very important to always know that people are there because you can help them. Communicate how you solve your customers' problems. This will lead to good testimonials and good word-of-mouth referrals. So the reason customers follow brands is because they often inspire or they solve their problems. The reason we use products is because they solve certain problems or issues that we have. We buy cleaning products because our house is dirty. We buy consumables like food and that because we have to feed the family. So there's always something that the customer has a problem with or has a need for that you can solve, and that is why they want to turn to you. If you solve their problem in a very good manner, they are most likely to tell their friends, their family, and that'll give you great word-of-mouth traction. Keep your personas in mind when you speak, so you can speak in their language for more personal connection. As we covered last week as well, social media is there for people to share, to connect with other people, and it's more about a conversation than your traditional forms of advertising. The second tip is to share content that is true to your brand offering or your USP. So the USP, just to recap, is your unique selling proposition, or that thing that you offer that is unique to your business. So tell people about your brand's unique business offering and how you differ from your competitors. This gives them reasons why they should follow you. or give them the reasons why you want them to follow you. Just moving on to the next one. Excuse me for a sip. Excuse me. Number 3 is to be regular and consistent. Be the one that customers or consumers will trust to provide the accurate and relevant content and advice at all times. If they have a problem, you should be the first place they want to turn to for the solution. That is also a lot to do with customer service, but remember, social media is an extension of your customer service, just on an online platform. Point number 4 is to engage with your followers. Engagement increases reach. So if you speak to your customers, if they have questions, if they make comments, do answer back, make comments back on what they say. It grows your brand loyal community, and this will lead to good testimonials and word of mouth referrals. Now, just to recap, remember when we said you've got audience, which is people who follow you, but the loyal brand community are those people that really are supportive of your business, are the people that refer their friends, refer their family. So it's important to actually make sure that you reach that very important target audience as well. Number 5 is make it easy for people to share your content. So the secret about social media, or what we really want on social media, is for people to share your content. Therefore, we must, on the one hand, be very careful what we put out there. We don't want to put controversial stuff out there, because that, as we know, can blow up in your face very easily. And that's the kind of stuff that you don't want to go viral, is the negative stuff. So you need to be quite careful if you're a business in terms of what you put out there. That is why it's always important to look at what is core to your brand and always measure that against, is this what my brand, is this what I'm putting out? Does it stand up against my brand values, and is it core to what I want to tell people about my business? How you can actually go about making sure that more people share your content is to make it easy for them. So include your social media follow buttons everywhere possible, like on your website, on your email signature, and make sure on your email signature, for example, that those links are clickable so that people can go directly to your social media platforms. If you have a blog section on your website, then make sure that the content is shareable directly from the page section or from the article itself. So you'll often see that blogs will have links, social media links at the bottom or somewhere on the page, but then the only thing that does is to take you to their social profiles or their social channels. You definitely do want that, but you also want people to be able to share a specific piece of information, like an article or a how-to video, directly to Facebook or to Twitter or to Instagram. So make sure that you can actually also share smaller chunks of information, not just join the page. Number 6 is to remind your in-store customers about your social accounts. So it's easy when a transaction's happening, when you've just seen a client, the next one's waiting, and it's often you just have a friendly greeting, but I think this is a golden opportunity to, when you have somebody who's face-to-face in your store, to actually just remind them very friendly that they can follow you on your social media channels because you're putting out great content there. Tell them that if you need to tell them the type of stuff that's going to happen, or if they have a particular problem, let's say, for example, rudimentary example, they are struggling with problem skin, you can say, we actually have an article on our blog, make sure to go check it out. And that's also a way for them to actually engage with your content. If you're running a promotion or a special, then remind people that they should always look at your social media channels for updates and for more specials and when you run certain promotions. Number 7 is to remind your database about your social content. So it's not just the interpersonal reminders that we need to do, but if you send out an email or a WhatsApp message to tell people that you've got great content on your social media platforms and they should go check it out. And also then, as I mentioned earlier, remember to include your social media links on your email templates as well. So that makes it easier for people to click straight through to your channels and join that way. It really is about making it easy for people to follow you. People aren't always going to go directly to your social media platform just out of their own. It's when they have a problem or they have a need and they might accidentally stumble on your Facebook page that they might join it. I think you don't have to wait for that. Actually encourage them and remind them that it's a good plan to go there and what you have to offer. Number 8 is to tag others. Now, this is quite an important one to do, because the benefit of tagging people is that obviously you don't only reach your audience, but you also reach their audience. So if you have partners and suppliers, do tag them with their permission. It's always good etiquette and a good idea to ask their permission first, because they might come back at you and not be happy that you tagged them. But that's a great way to actually reach additional audiences. Often, if you're a small salon, your suppliers will obviously have bigger audiences. And that's a great way for you to actually tap into that. If you have an influencer agreement, then this should be one of the most important mandatories in the contract, that you would be allowed to tag them in content. Again, don't just tag people without their consent. It might come back and bite you, because people aren't always so friendly about being tagged if they haven't given their permissions. Number 9 is to use hashtags. And the idea here is to use relevant hashtags. And I say where appropriate, because it's not always appropriate to use hashtags, and it's not appropriate to use all hashtags. You can do a hashtag research. If you go onto Instagram, for example, and you go to the search and you go type in hashtags, it'll tell you which are the most popular ones on the subject that you're typing in. But people do sometimes, well, not sometimes, people often get upset if you use a trending hashtag that has got nothing to do with your product just to jump on the bandwagon. And you might find a backlash if you do something like that. So always use stuff that is appropriate to your product. Don't suddenly, if there is a Sona 2020, go and tag that onto a promotion for skincare products, because people will get upset with you. The great thing about hashtags is, even though they seem a little bit nonsensical or they might seem a bit trendy, is that they help with your on-channel and your Google search results and rankings. So if I search for a certain hashtag on Google, it will throw up your channel, your hashtags on social media. And as well, if I search for a title, a certain subject keyword on Google, and you have those hashtags on your social platforms, then those will also show up if it's relevant to the search. So that definitely does help to expose you to greater audiences. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, they all use hashtags. It's important to note that the audiences on these different channels actually do use them in different ways though. Twitter and Instagram by far uses hashtags most effectively, and most people there use them to find topics and subjects that they're interested in. Less so at this point in time on Facebook and LinkedIn, but they are still valuable because there are people who do use them on those platforms as well. I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. Excuse me. Number 10 is, tip number 10 is to match the message and the format to the proper channel and audience. Now, as we discussed previously as well, different platforms have different approaches. They have different specifications. They have different rules for the type of content that you're allowed to put on there, how many characters you're allowed to use, when you're allowed to post certain things. So do consider that from a technical perspective. And always adapt your content to suit the channel. But also importantly, the audiences are different on these channels. You will find, for example, it tends to be a younger audience on Instagram, and you tend to find an older audience on Facebook. So your personas come into play again. When you speak to people, just make sure that you use the right tone of voice when you're actually on a specific channel. And then each channel, which is quite important, also offers their own unique way to boost or promote posts and to place adverts. So you'll find that they all differ from each other. In some of them are quite simple. Facebook has really streamlined the process. And then if you look at things like Twitter, it becomes a little bit more complicated. It's really just a case of looking at the tutorials if you're interested in placing things there, because they all offer good tutorials that'll help you and guide you. There's also help centers on each channel, so if you don't find what you're looking for, you can actually contact them. They sometimes take a little while, but they do eventually get back to you. Boosting your posts. So we're going to sit on this one for a little while longer. So always track and monitor the performance of your content. So a top performing post is what we call proven content. So this is content that has proven itself to be very popular with your. Sorry? Oh, okay, sorry, I thought there was somebody who asked something. Just to repeat that, so your top performing posts, the post that gets the most likes and most shares, has proven itself to be popular or resonate with your audience. So those are the ones that we would typically look at as content that are boostable, for the simple fact that we can see there's a measurable interest in it, and boosting that will actually create further traction in terms of engagement and reach, and audiences are more likely to share that content because they're already interested in it. So the small thing, if it resonates, you can boost it with safety. It's a good money saver because you've noticed it's content that's good to go. Excuse me. So what do you want to achieve by boosting the post is something that you consider just before you throw money behind it. So apart from increasing general awareness for your offering or for your salon, for your business, for your brand, boosting a post may help you to get people to react, share, and comment on it. And they all have different reasons behind them. So nicely, for example, say you've got a post that is performing very well, and you decide, okay, well, this is something that's important to my business, that's core to my brand, and it would be great to see more people, have more people see this because people are responding to it very well. Do I want people to react to it? Do I want people to share it, or do I want people to comment and engage on it? Reactions is getting people to react on your post, for example, getting insights on how they feel about a certain topic or a product. So if you posted something about a product and people are going love, or they're commenting, yes, this is so great, then you can share it with a question saying, well, basically to find out how they feel about this, to gauge general consensus. When you want people to share stuff, it helps to reach a greater and a wider audience. Comment and engagement, on the other hand, is get a wider audience to comment and engage with your post. For example, getting insights on how they feel about a product, maybe getting them to see a link that has been in the post that you want to get to a wider audience because you've got a competition that you're running and you want more people to click on the link. So number 12 is to run a followers or a lead ad campaign. So a simple way to get more followers, and this is not the same as buying followers through a third party, which is never a good idea, because you might see some emails that says we guarantee you 10,000 followers in a week, and then you pay them money, and then they basically put a lot of fake profiles or robot profiles on your profile, which actually really means nothing. This is more actually you pay for an advert for people to see that you want to see your page and for them to follow it. So again, like as with previous boosting of content, each channel's got their own way of doing lead ads or follower campaigns that you will have to get the technical specifications on. But this is a great way to actually make sure that you get more followers on your page. Obviously, the reason behind why you want more followers is also something you need to think about again. It's not a vanity metric, as we sometimes refer to it. Having 100,000 followers isn't necessary than having 10,000 followers. And here again, the idea is quality over quantity. Having fewer people who really engage with your product, who's really there for what you offer because they believe in it and they're brand loyal, is more important than having numbers of people who's basically muting your channel or just ignoring your posts. So always when you do run a lead ad campaign or follow campaign, is consider again why you need a larger audience. Maybe your audience is already big enough, and what you need to do instead is get them to engage more with what you've got to offer. So the big question, when to boost and when to advertise. So boosting, for example, only gives you primary options for your objective. Reach, engagement, and website visits is basically what you're going to get out of boosting a post. But you can't use your custom audiences. There's a very limited audience setting that you can choose with boosting. I mean, they do give you the opportunity to target, but it's not as sophisticated and not as granular, the term that I like to use, as your Facebook ads. Facebook ads offer more nuanced options. You can choose between awareness, reach, traffic, engagement, conversions, and also get the benefit of targeting lookalike audiences. So obviously awareness, reach, and that you can also achieve with boosting. What Facebook helps you with those is to actually choose your target audience much more specifically. They give you much more options than a simple boosting post. And the same with engagements. Unfortunately, boosting doesn't give you specific conversion options. And when we look at conversions, what we're looking at is when you want somebody to do something at the end of the day. So if the objective is for people to enter a competition, then a conversion would be what somebody that enters the competition would count as a conversion. Or if you want somebody to sign up to your email database, every new sign up would count as a conversion. So those are the type of options that Facebook ads offer at a very more advanced level than simply boosting a post does. Then the other thing that's very important is the idea of a lookalike audience. And quite simply, a lookalike audience is a segmentation tool that finds users with demographics and interests that are similar to the people that are already following you. So that means you can actually find people that look like your current audience and have the same interests. So they are prime new target audiences for your product or your offering. Any questions while I have another sip of water? Excuse me. Right. So I'm going to quickly just look at the differences between Facebook boosted posts and Facebook ads, because I think that's where most people are tend to be unsure of when do I do what. So if I look at, I'm just going to look at the left column and then actually compare it to the right column. A boosted post appears on your page and your followers can see it, and extra people that you target can see it. It's important to note that the Facebook ad is not going to show on your page. It's an advert that runs, which Facebook places on people's timelines at different times of the day. And herein lies another important specific differentiation. So when you boost a post, you have no control over when people see it. A Facebook ad, you can choose your targeting to actually appear on people's timelines at specific times. A boosted post will give you limited general objectives. As I already mentioned, you've got reach and engagement, which are your main ones. Facebook ad gives you multiple specified objectives. You can do lead generation, you can do subscriptions, you can do app downloads, and all of those things are options that you can choose on a Facebook ad. You can obviously, if a post performs well, you can change the post before you boost it to include a call to action or to include a link and then boost it afterwards. But once you've boosted a post, you can't edit it. So that's just a very important thing to remember. You can't edit boosted posts. You can always update certain aspects of ads, however. Boosted posts will not give you a call to action button. For example, download, click here, shop now, and those so forth. Whereas Facebook ads will offer click to action, call to action button options, depending on what you need, like shop this product, sign on for the newsletter, etc., etc. I've mentioned before that boosted posts will give you limited targeting. Facebook ads gives you what they call granular targeting, and it's the idea of like going as fine as a grain of sand. That's really how deep down specific you can get with a Facebook ad. You don't always have to go that complicated, but if you have a very specific idea of the target market, then Facebook ads will give you much better options to reach them than a targeted post will do. So the Facebook excuse me, targeting allows for behavioral targeting, language targeting, and you can exclude certain audiences and much more. So, for example, you can exclude audiences that fall out of your geographical area, whereas a boosted post, you can also choose an area, but you can be more specific down to almost a few blocks. For example, in Facebook, you can exclude audiences that speak, for example, a foreign language because you're only interested in a certain language market. Those things might seem superfluous at this point in time, but the idea is for you to go in there and see what you've got, what it offers you, and for some reason maybe there's a setting that appeals to you. The language targeting would obviously make sense for something that is a language-based product, like if CakeNet had to advertise, they would exclude people that speaks English or is not bilingual, for example, because what would happen is that if they don't exclude that audience, Facebook will target on the other aspects of the audience that looks like their current target audience, and they would be wasting money actually advertising CakeNet products or programs to people who don't speak Afrikaans, for example. So boosted posts gives you a basic duration scheduling. So you can choose, I want to run it for so many days, and then it'll tell you, and then you can decide how much you want to spend on it, and tell you basically how many people roughly it will serve that post to in a day. Facebook ad, on the other hand, gives you detailed scheduling. You can choose the time of day. You can decide, I want this ad to show 5 times a day. I want to show it just in the mornings and the afternoons. So you've got much more control on when people see what you've got to offer. This makes sense, again, for example, for different businesses. I'm going to use a bakery, for example. If they have fresh bread coming out at a certain time of the day, they know every day at 9 o'clock croissants come out of the oven, then running that kind of locally targeted ad for people who work in the vicinity will make sense to say our hot croissants are fresh out of the oven. So you might also have time related targeting that you want to do at specific times. Excuse me. Boosted posts, limited post format. In other words, you can only post, you can only boost the format that you've posted it in. So if it's a video, then you can't add extra elements to it. If it's a still image, you can't add extra elements to it. If it's a link, you can't add anything to it. Facebook ads offers you multiple options. You can use a combination of, they've got different preset formats that can combine still images with video, that can be interactive, that can add different links to different frames. So what they have sometimes is called a carousel ad, which is good for product price promotions. And you can have different call to action buttons on different frames. You can have different links on different frames that click through to a specific product, for example. And these are the types of things obviously you can't do with boosted posts. And then the last one I want to highlight is that there's no message testing on a boosted post. Okay, so we discussed already that we're going to probably boost a post when it's performed well. So it is proven content. We know that it's popular, it resonates with our audience. But you can't see how it resonates with different audiences. With Facebook ads, you can put more than one version of the same advert out there with either different text or different images or both. And you can run them simultaneously and then see, and then after a specified time, see which of those are performing better. You can then discontinue the one that doesn't perform so well and put all the rest of the money behind the one that does do very well. So that's a nice benefit of Facebook ads, is that you can actually see, you can do multiple versions and see which one works best, and then stop the one and put all the money to the other one. Are there any specific questions regarding Facebook posts and promoted posts and Facebook ads at this point in time? Nothing. Cool. Bottom line, what is the point? Do we boost and when do we use ads? So boosting, as we said, if you have an organic content or organic post that resonates well and you see an opportunity to reach a broader audience, boosting is the easy way to do it. It's very simple. It's very uncomplicated. And if you're unsure of putting money behind stuff, I think, and you're feeling a bit hesitant, then I think boosting is the first step that you can take to just ease yourself and get familiar with the process, because it really is, it's very simple. Facebook ads, on the other hand, if you have specific objectives like lead generation, reaching new market sector, product launches or promotions, competitions, and so forth, then ads will give you a better return on investment and a means of measuring. So boosting will also give you a boosted post will also give you a small report on how the boosted post performed. But with Facebook ads, you can get very detailed information, as detailed as you want to go, when people looked at it, which devices that they used, did they look at it on a computer, did they look at it on a cell phone, which time of day, what is the demographic, what is the age, what is the psychographic. So those things could be very beneficial for you to have when you do your next ad, because you know who responded to this one. Facebook ads should really be a crucial element in your advertising strategy and budget for every month when you plan that ahead of time, or if you plan quarterly. Boosting posts, I think, is more an idea of seeing an opportunity and jumping on it. And if you have budget available, then that's a good idea to do so. Right, are we doing for time? I did a few less slides this week because we ran over last week, but I think we're going to be finished well in time today. Number 13 out of 15 is to target strategically. Have clear SMART objectives to ensure you target the right audience and target market to achieve them. So we spoke about SMART objectives last week, and I think you can recap there just to make sure again what we refer to them, what they refer to. But basically is just have a really clear idea of what you want to achieve, make it measurable, be sure of the audience. By researching them, so you know exactly who you're speaking to and how to address them, and the reasons that they will be interested in your offering. If you don't target strategically, it's like shooting fish. Well, it's like the old Afrikaans saying, like when you use a halfgeweer, which I have no idea what that is in English, to shoot a target, is that you are bound to hit something, but you're not going to be very, very accurate. And it just comes down to you're not spending your money very well if you don't really think about targeting people and why you're targeting people and who you're targeting them, Excuse me. Then testing your messaging. as I said earlier, with the Facebook ads, you've got the option to run a split test on your adverts. And that you should monitor these to see which one is performing better and put your whole budget behind that. But you can also do a version of that on your own on organic content. If you, for example, have a product that is going to be on promotion for a longer period or duration of time, you can put out different messages for that product using different approaches, maybe using a different tone of voice, maybe boosting it to a different target audience, and then also seeing from that how that performs. So you can do a form of testing on organic as well. Unfortunately, it's not going to give you the amount of feedback that the targeted ad is going to give you, and also you can't basically stop the one and put the one and put money behind the other one. You actually have to basically just do it on a sort of ad hoc basis. But as you get to know your audiences, you should also be able to see and start recognizing, and as you engage with them, start recognizing which audiences resonates with which personas, and then you'll know what content and which messages send to which people. And lastly, and today we're well ahead of time, is to incentivize. Offer an incentive for people to follow you. For example, give a competition to win a product or a free consultation or a free treatment. And you can do this either organically or you can do it through an ad. So you can actually say, sign up to Facebook or to my database and stand a chance to win a free consultation. Just remember, as we said last week, always follow up on promotions. Always make sure that you post who the winner is, who the recipient is, and do so timeously, because people get very annoyed when you've been running competitions, but they never know who's winning because they think you're a fraud if you don't actually announce those things. Right, any questions or comments? Sorry, I don't have my comments section on today. Anybody that wants to? Not today. Cool. I'm going to just go to the final slides then. Just remember that for any general content, you can follow general inquiries and discussions. You can actually follow up discussions if you have any questions that you want to ask us that you can't think of now, or that you can always email Michelle or myself with any questions. And we also have currently on promotion specific packages for small businesses to help you kickstart your social media, or if you're already up and running, to help you target and optimize the and if you don't have social media at all, to help you from scratch to actually get it off the ground. And
Richard,
yes,
sorry. I see we've got a question that came in. What is a good budget to start off with on boosting?
Okay, there's no straightforward answer to that. I think if you've never done it before, see what you feel comfortable with. It's almost like a bit like gambling, but at least you know you're going to get some results. It's not like going to the casino and you might lose everything. I think to test the waters, see what 200 Rand does for you. I'm using that as a very small amount if you've never done it before. Otherwise, if you've got a budget, the more money you put behind a post, the further the reach is going to be. So if you have a budget, then you don't have to be shy about putting money behind a boosted post. I think to test the waters, start with small amounts. And as you grow your confidence and you see results, then grow that incrementally. There is a new limit on how much you can spend on Facebook. I saw last week, I can't remember exactly what it is. I think it's 171 Rand, the minimum. That's why I'm using the 200 Rand as a possibility. That is the minimum you can spend. So, yeah, again, there's no right or wrong answer to that. It's like, how much money do I put into my advertising budget? It's how much do you have? But yes, if you're unsure, start with small amounts, and see and play around with it. I think if you start with 200 rand, it's not going to break the bank, and you can experiment with different audience and so forth. And as you start seeing results, you start gaining confidence and familiarity with the platform, you can increase that budget. I think an ideal minimum at the end of the day to really start seeing large, it also depends on the business, but to start seeing large traction is to put aside about 2,000 rand to 5,000 rand a month for your posts and adverts. But that depends on if that's in your budget. I mean, not everybody's going to have 5,000 rand as a budget in a month, especially not after we've not been had. So I think you really should look at starting it small and incrementally, and increasing it from what you see response and target market response. That is the safest answer I can give you. If that answers that.
Yeah, Richard, I think with that, we can also maybe, like, if there's any uncertainty with regards to reporting and really understanding, you know, what is a good, like, what's good feedback when you do review your reports, maybe that can also assist you guys with that. And I think, like Richard was saying, is to almost not, like, just to start and not be afraid of testing, and just putting it out there, because that's the only way you will actually learn your audience. And even with the A/B testing as well, it's great to then also, you know, see what ads work better, what your audience are actually after. And we've actually worked with clients before where, say for instance, you get a account, almost the account was with another agency, or they did their own account, and then we received the account back. We received the new account. And then if you look at content that was maybe posted in the past, compared to the content that you feel is relevant now, it might also be, and Richard touched on it with buying almost like your following, the content that you might post now might not be relevant to the people that was actually following you. So there's also ways that you can actually look at, like, you might have, say, 1,000 followers, but only 500 of them is actually true to what you're actually posting, because the other followers might be there for a while now. They're not really following you anymore for your content, but they just never unfollowed you. So there's really nice ways, because you actually just want to talk to the people that is relevant. You want to share relevant content. So there's different ways that you can actually use your feedback to almost, like we were saying in the first session, is to almost audit your audience and to ensure that you're really talking to a true audience. Yeah, so that's also maybe a way to look at it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the DIY advice I would give. Obviously, if you get a social media company to do this stuff for you, then I think we're looking at a slightly higher budget depending on what you want to achieve, and then they will do the schlock work for you. But that if DIY, if you want to just test it out yourself, that is the advice that I gave there. I think otherwise, if you want to dip your foot in the water, then you should speak to us and see what we would suggest would be a good traction for a certain target audience. We can definitely do that. What I can say, the case that I have to make for boosting and for advertising on Facebook or on any channel, for that example, is, we also touched on it last week, is that notion of pay to play. Basically, all these platforms make money out of advertising and the boosting of posts. That is their main income source or model. So you can count on about 1% of your audience, followers on your Facebook page, to see organic content. So the only way that you're really going to get it out there to a wider audience, and to even to your own audience, is by putting money behind it. Unfortunately, that's the reality of social media. That's where we sit.
Okay, just another question, Richard. What channel is better to advertise on now? Is it Instagram or Facebook?
That is an easier one to answer. It is, where are your most followers at the moment? So you need to go look at your channel and see which one's got the most followers and the most reactions. And that is where your audience is the most active, and that's where your biggest audience is. So I would put my money where the biggest audience is at this point in time. But again, it comes down to objectives. If you want to reach new audience, if you want to reach clients that are already using your product, and you are sure that they're going to react. If you want to reach new audiences, then obviously you need to decide who is the new audience. If you want to reach younger people, then Instagram is going to be your better platform, for example. So again, go back to your personas and go back to your objective. If it's about actually making sure that you get return customers because you need to make business, then you want to go where the trusted people are and where the most are. If you want to get a new audience because you really want to grow your customer base, then you need to go look at your personas and where they would be, for example.
Okay, we've got another. I hope that answer. But if it's not clear, you can just let me know on the chat box. We've got another question. Is it better to have both Instagram and Facebook accounts, or is it okay to only have one account?
It is okay to have only one account if that is all you can manage properly. And I think that's the most important thing is you must, when you engage on social media, it is part of your marketing job. And if you're going to neglect one of the channels, then rather put all your energy into one. I think if you can manage both, then I would definitely suggest that you have both, but also then know that they're different, that they have different objectives and audiences, as we said again. So Instagram is much more aspirational and lifestyle orientated and photographic orientated. So if you don't have the means to really get nice pictures out there, or if you don't have the content to put out there, then rather put your effort into Facebook. That is where the most people are currently. But if you have the time and the means and the resources, I think it's best to be on both.
Okay, perfect. Is there any other questions that anyone is unsure of? If we finish the session and there is any questions, please, you're more than welcome to mail us, even if it's just questions. You don't have to feel that you have to engage with us as a full-on, project. We would really want to help you guys where possible. That's the purpose of these sessions as well. So if you think of anything after the session, please feel free to email us and we will assist you as best possible. I think, like Richard was also explaining, social media does have such a variety of different testing elements or dependence on objectives. Also considering a multiple of channels. Ideally you don't just want to actually just focus on social media. You always want to keep in mind you have other platforms as well, and they all have to speak the same language and obviously they might have different objectives, but they all obviously at the end go towards the objective at the end of the day that you want to achieve. So that's just why it depends on your objectives, like Richard was saying, and to get the results that you want.
I think if I can give advice in terms of what is your most valuable resource at this point in time, is if you have a database of loyal return clients and you have that on either WhatsApp or email, is to combine that with a social channel.
Yeah, and I think also, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think also, like we were saying in one of the previous sessions, is to almost use this time as well to test your audience by using the polls or questionnaires. That's great elements that's available to actually ask your audience, what platforms they prefer or what type of content they actually want to see. Okay, we just have one more question that came in. Would you say that Facebook is the new website of a business, or is a website still just as valuable?
I think websites are going to become more valuable again as we are starting to move into an e-commerce platform. I think more and more we want to try and sell things via websites. And also, maybe in terms of value-added content, it's very difficult to have the always-on content on Facebook because it's a timeline. You can have it, but it's more difficult for people to find. I think a website is still a place where you can also display what you've got on offer much better and in one place than you can do on a Facebook page. So Facebook is really great for honing in on certain aspects for a product promotion or for telling people about your business. But a website still puts it all in one place, where I can see this is the staff training, what are the training levels of the staff, or these are my products, and it's all in one place. I definitely don't think that Facebook, I don't think one should see it as the one or the other. I think they're both essential, and they serve each other. As much as Facebook can drive people to your website and sign up, and that's a way to get new leads for people who are actually interested in your product. Same way, having content on your website, it goes onto Facebook, helps you with your content calendar every month. So I think I don't think it's one or the other, it's preferably both.
Yeah, and I think also, Richard, with that, something that's also important is to always know almost what action you want the consumer to take. So if your ad is there to take someone for, say, like Richard was saying, sign-ups for emails, and then they click, obviously it must be a clear call to action of what the next step is. So then they go to the site, and then it's again a clear call to action of what you actually want them to do. So whatever the stage is almost of your customer journey, or what you want to achieve with your, like the objective of your ad, or just generic content you put out there, there must be a clear objective so that when you do measure it, you can have, you measure it against something. So even with your website, if it's not just purchasing products, and it can be sign-ups, or it can be maybe downloadable price lists, or it could be most visited products. Like, make sure that when you do whatever you do, you have a tracking record almost of stats that you can use to your benefit, because that is the benefit of digital, is that you have a vast number of like tools to equip you to really know your customer and to know what they're interested in.
But I think just as a closing note, that something like a Facebook lead ad is really quite a valuable tool to, at this point in time, to make sure that you get new customers that look like the customers that you have. So if you do a Facebook lead ad with a lookalike audience, you're going to reach people that are already on your Facebook page, new people that are already on your Facebook page, and they are willing to sign up to get your content. So I think that's quite a valuable tool at this point in time to get, if you want to get new customers.
Perfect. Any more questions? We still have a little bit of time left.
Otherwise, if there's no more questions, you guys are always more than welcome to email it to Michelle and Richard. I think your emails have been shared, and I know it's on the screen as well.
It's on the screen at the moment, yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, if there's any other questions, I'm sure you won't mind anybody emailing you more questions as well and stuff.
Not at all.
But Richard, thank you so much again for this great session.
It's a great pleasure. I hope you found it helpful. And
no, it was definitely great. Oh, thanks just so much for everyone that also joined in on the session. Always great to have everyone here present, joining in on the forums. Always so great to share, very great information with you as well. So, yeah.
Thank you so very much. It was great to do this again, and we'll see you next week for the Google Business and Reviews session.
Yes. excited about that one next week, Monday at 2 o'clock as well.
Thank you so much for inviting us, and have a great week, everyone.
Sure.
And if you're in Joburg, keep warm, and if you're a Free State, keep warmer.
Thanks,
Cool.
everyone.
Yes, thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.